Right, and we're live. Welcome to the EcoBiz Show, where you can get ideas to grow your business and make it greener. And today I'm joined by Lorna Thomas from Be the Best You in Business. And we're going to be talking about overwhelm and building a business that best suits you, your values, and your motivational triggers and traits. So welcome, Lorna. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Karen. I'm really pleased to be here.
Yeah, brilliant. So Lorna is the overcome-overwhelm coach for creative women business owners with big ambitions. So what leads to overwhelm in business, and what are some of the symptoms?
Well, I'd be surprised if any of your listeners haven't experienced that awful feeling of overwhelm. But it's it's so much more likely, I think, when to experience that when you run your own business, because there's no one else establishing your priorities or defining your job spec for you. And so, many of the people I speak to who've gone into business have done so because they're really creative, they're great at what they do, and they think that they can do this by going direct to their clients instead of being an employee, which is fantastic. But I think very few of them take into account the running a business side of things, and I think that's a whole other set of roles, skills, knowledge, and I think also it's quite common for quite an unrealistic expectation of how quickly the income will come in. How quickly you'll be able to make as much money as you did as an employee, for instance, or more. And I think this adds to the huge pressure that people are already likely to be under when they're sort of starting and establishing their business. So, I think also, I work with women, as you mentioned, but in addition to running a new business, they'll be running the household. There's probably children. There may be elderly parents that need looking after, and then many of my clients also have a job as well. So, holding all of that together, there is an awful lot to fit in.
There is, isn't it? Busy, and you've got to be so many different people in your business as well. Sales, marketing, promotion person, admin person, everything as well. So, yeah, I think it's a lot to contend with. So, why is it important for people to address overwhelm then, rather than just leave it?
So I think there are a number of things. So the side effects that we'll start seeing are around things like poor prioritization. So, they'll be working on the wrong things for the business. And short-term thinking means that, we end up making the wrong decisions or choose the wrong things to be working on. And I think, it's really important to be thinking more about the medium to long term and bearing that in mind, because that means we're making very different decisions for us in our business. And if we're focused, and I certainly found this when I was running my garden design business many moons ago, that, I was very much focused on the client delivery. And that's critical, but you need to make time to also spend time working on the business, the developing of the business. Because, we do the delivery side of things because that's easy and we're on safe ground. We know what we're doing. But the delivery side, the developing the business side of things is as critical. And if we're not doing that, we could end up with this, terrible experience of coming out the end of a project and then crashing and wondering where our next job is going to come from, for instance. And then we were talking just before the show went live about procrastination. And, people are worried about making the right decisions or making the wrong decisions, putting off decisions, putting off actions, because they don't want to make the wrong decision or take the wrong action. So, and I've noticed this has increased significantly this year. And I've been speaking to other business owners, and this seems to be a trait. And then the other thing that I notice is that there's an increase in the need for perfectionism or micromanagement, which is quite common when you're feeling out of control. And certainly when you're overwhelmed, you crave control. And I think, time spent perfecting things is a waste of time. So
Yeah,
you asked about, sorry.
Carry on.
Well, I was going to say, you asked about, why it's important to address this. I think what often happens is that the way we deal with overwhelm,
about it, yeah.
Yeah, so it can often become a habit, the way we deal with it. So, I used to regularly wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and because I'd be worrying about all the things that I needed to be getting on with. So I thought, well, rather than lying in bed worrying about it, I might as well just get up and do it. And that would make me feel so productive, and I get those dopamine hits, and but it's not a long-term strategy, for obvious reasons. You need your sleep. So and if you're not dealing with the cause of the overwhelm, you'll keep repeating it. And so I mentor my clients that waking up earlier and earlier, or getting up earlier to clear down the to-do list is not a good strategy for business. It's a bit like putting a sticking plaster on a broken arm, for instance. It's not dealing with the cause. And I mentioned the lack of sleep. Long-term insomnia is a really bad thing for your physical health, your mental health, your memory, your mood. And I don't know if you saw, there was a recent research study that showed that even being stressed a couple of times in a fortnight was really bad for your long-term health. But among your listeners, for instance, who only gets stressed once a fortnight? Realistically, and there is a physical and a mental cost to that. So things like anxiety, blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity have all been associated with persistent overwhelm. And I think at a psychological level, if you're exposed to extreme prolonged overwhelm, you are likely to get to the point where you just disengage from your work. And I think it reduces any satisfaction that you get out of working on your business. And I think certainly from my experience, you just lose the ability to care. And it's not just caring about your business, you actually stop caring about anything much at all. And suicidal thoughts and burnout, really unpleasant places to be. But I think what's so dangerous about being in those places is that you don't realize how dangerous that space is. So I want to make sure that other business owners don't make the same mistakes that I did.
Oh, brilliant. And I think that's a great service that you provide, because I just think it's just like you say, I think everyone has that all the time. I very seldom have come across any business owner that hasn't suffered overwhelm or gone into burnout and everything as well. So that's brilliant. And we always ask people this, we'll go into also, you're doing a free workshop as well that you're offering, but what is your top eco tip?
Oh, well, this is also around. I mean, I was thinking about this because I'm sure your previous guests have had some great tips, but I think I often feel very overwhelmed by my inability to make a significant difference to the environment. Especially when you see so much dreadful stuff going on out there. And I think it's like anything, when you're overwhelmed, you kind of break it down into small steps that are easy to repeat, so that you can then create new habits. So I love tea. And I love Earl Grey tea, mint tea. My favorite at the moment is Eton Mest tea, and I drink gallons of the stuff every day. So I buy loose leaf tea, so there's no need for those tea bags with those nasty little plastic bits in. I buy it from a company called Bird and Blend. I don't know if you've heard of them in Brighton. There are probably other companies out there, and they probably do it online as well. But they've just got the most awesome range of loose leaf tea. And it's they also, when they sell it to you, it comes in biodegradable pouches, which I think is great. And then I make it in a pot, so I'm only boiling the kettle once. I use an green electricity supplier, and I'm a sucker for a great tea cozy. So,
Brilliant.
That keeps my tea warm, and then of course I compost the tea leaves. So I think it's the small things really do add up, and that's obviously for the environment, but also for business as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it will save you money as well on your electricity bills. So
yeah. And tea, if you're getting through that many tea bags. Yeah,
definitely. Oh, fantastic. So tell us a bit more about your offer. You've got your free workshop coming up. When is that, and where can people find out more about that?
So I have a workshop that is called How to Overcome Your Overwhelm and Become a Better Business Owner. And you can find out more about it at www.bethebestyou.coach. And so if you go, there's a tab at the top that talks about public workshops. So that's where you can find out more about that. But it's really practical tips on how to overcome overwhelm. So I'm all about the practical. You know, with my corporate and, you know, my business experience, it has to sing for its supper. So I'm, you know, I want people to be able to take meaningful action as a result of coming along to that workshop. So yeah, it's free. It's on the 16th of May at 1 p.m.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. You've given us loads of tips and ideas and sort of strategies, and that people, you know, who are joining us can watch and listen and take on board. So for those of you who are catching up on the replay, I have included all the details to find Lorna below in a description. Yeah, so, and do get in touch with her on LinkedIn and check out her free workshop. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us, and to our viewers, we'll see you again soon.